So I have received some controversial statements with regards to the video that I made, with some actually even rubbishing Hall as a championship player who I'm trying to overhype like he's Beckham. Another fan also said that we should not focus much more on signing attacking players, but rather focus on signing a goalkeeper. But I'm going to tell you why Dewsbury Hall is very, very important for Chelsea next season. Now, a lot of fans might think that Chelsea's board is somehow not thinking properly. We have misplaced priorities, and others might even accuse me of actually overhyping Hall. But what you're going to realize is that this player solves Maresca's biggest problem. Now, Enzo Maresca had a very dynamic system at Leicester. And this system relies heavily in a controlled attacking structure. Remember, Maresca comes from the Guardiola school of football, which emphasizes on control. And I'm going to tell you why Dewsbury Hall gives Maresca control in attack. So last season, Chelsea's attack were much focused on Cole Palmer. And Cole Palmer's individual brilliance actually made Chelsea score a lot of goals last season. But I'm going to show you that Chelsea's attack was not quite the best. And let me show you using statistics on action zones. Now, looking at the action zones, you can see that Chelsea spent a lot of time in their midfield third and a lot of time in their defensive third, meaning that Chelsea did not spend a lot of time dominating teams in their final third, meaning that teams were able to just allow Chelsea to dominate the ball in the midfield third, meaning that Chelsea actually created chances as a result of individual player brilliance rather than the overall tactical philosophy. Now, let's compare this with the elite teams such as Manchester City, because Manchester City is the benchmark, because you want to be a team like Manchester City to dominate the league and actually win it, because if you finish above them, you win the league. Now, looking at Manchester City, it is the opposite. They spend less time in their own defensive third, a few times in their midfield third, but a lot of time in the opposition third. Look at how Manchester City is dominating. Manchester City is dominating in the final third. Actually, they have a 12 points advantage over Chelsea in the attacking third. Compare that to Arsenal, because also Arsenal is a team that dominated last season. But you will see also Arsenal is much better than Chelsea organized in attack. Now, looking at Arsenal, you can also see that Arsenal is spending a lot of time in the attack. So Chelsea has 21% in the opposition third, Manchester City has 38%, Arsenal has 36%, meaning that Chelsea falls way back. And this indicates that these two teams stifle their opposition in their own defensive third. Now, let's look at Chelsea's attacking zones vertically. You can see that Chelsea heavily rely on attacking down the right. They do not attack down the middle as often, and down the left is also not quite great, meaning that Chelsea are relying down the right. And you can understand, Cole Palmer, Noni Madueke, Malo Gusto play down this area. But down the left, Chelsea do not attack down that area, and it's actually giving an imbalanced system of attack. Now, let's look at let's analyze Manchester City, because Manchester City have the most fluid attacking system, because Manchester City control their attacks. They look to try and control their attacks. Looking at Manchester City, you can see it is balanced. 35% down the left, 31% down the middle, 34% down the right, meaning that Manchester City are unpredictable. They can attack on all flanks. Manchester City are able to dominate all the three vertical zones of the pitch. And this makes Manchester City so potent, because they also spend a lot of their time in the opposition defensive third. So the question that you're asking yourself is, how does Dewsbury Hall actually fix this problem for Chelsea? That is our analysis today. Our analysis today is to look at how Dewsbury Hall helps Maresca arrange and structurally configure his attacking system to suit what Chelsea want to be next season. Before we begin our analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. But before we even begin our analysis, first of all, we need to understand what Maresca wants to do, how Maresca wants to structure his attack, what Maresca expects from his attacking players. And we're going to do a slight analysis on that. So we know Maresca wants to have as many as 5 players in the attacking structure and 5 players in the defensive structure. Now, this 5 block structure will see 2 inverted fullbacks, one inverting into the backline, the other one inverting into the midfield, to give his team that 3-2 structure during build-up, meaning that he has a rest defense of 5 players. And you can see from this clip here, one fullback inverts, the other fullback inverts into the back line. And this is good for his team because now he's able to have these 2 players behind the opposition backline. You can see the 2 players. Dewsbury Hall is one of those players. He's occupying that left half space position. And he has 5 players behind the ball to prevent the counter. Now, in this situation, you already have 3 centre-backs who are able to cover all the wide zones of the pitch, the 2 holding midfielders in this position who are able to dictate the tempo of play. And if the 2 holding midfielders are pressed, then you have the 2 players in the half space region, the 2 players who are looking to actually create options in between the lines, and they can actually receive the ball in these deadly and dangerous positions. These 2 players are also not in line with the striker, but rather in staggered position, meaning that one of the players attacks one half space region, maybe down the right, and he's looking to try and link up with the winger who's starting out wide. And he has also wingers who are dribblers, who are good at 1v1 take-ons. And that is also emphasizing how he wants his attacking system to be structured. Also, when the winger pulls a fullback out, you will see that the underlapping number 10 will also move into that position, while the other players will be looking to try and overload the box and try to score a goal. And this emphasizes Maresca's attacking structure, consisting of a lot of cutbacks and a lot of low crosses. And these crosses are made into the half space channels, into the inner corridors. And this is the reason why Enzo Maresca wants his team to be balanced both down the right and down the left hand flank. He also wants his team to have 5 players who are staggered across all the vertical zones of the pitch, so that he is able to control the attacking structure, disorient the opposition's backline and midfield lines. And I'm going to show you how and why Dewsbury Hall helps Chelsea in actualizing this Maresca philosophy. Looking at this structure here, you can see that the 2 attacking midfielders, Dewsbury Hall down the left and the one on the right, are in a staggered position. They are in a slightly withdrawn position. They are not looking to try and actually create any overload, but rather to try and drag that opposition defense. Now, let's look at how Chelsea were last season under Mauricio Pochettino when it comes to actually trying to create dynamism in that attack, looking to try to see how they can actually look to try and create something that is able to make them more potent in attack. So last season, we saw that the left winger will start out high and wide. The right winger in Cole Palmer will not start high and wide, but rather will start in an inverted position, meaning that Cole Palmer will start in this half space region, attacking the fullback, the centre back, the holding midfielder. And in this position, Cole Palmer was so potent because he was the creative hub of the team, using his individual brilliance either to try and attempt to score a goal, try and creating shot creation chances, and trying to have the 4 players around him so narrow close to him, opening spaces in the wide areas, especially for the overlapping runs of Malo Gusto. Remember, Gusto and Palmer combination was very, very key for Chelsea last season. And Palmer's position will enable Gusto to attack this zone. Even later on in the season, when Noni Madueke was the one holding the width, we saw the same thing. Now, Jackson, who's the striker, was tasked to occupy the 2 centre-backs. Now, the role of Conor Gallagher was to actually do the same thing that Palmer does, but now on the left half space. But this was not actualized by Pochettino in his structure because Conor Gallagher was used as a second striker, as a number 10, and more as an energetic number 10. Now, earlier on in the season, Pochettino tried to deploy Enzo Fernandez in this position. But as I had showed you in previous clips, that Enzo Fernandez in this position, he's a player who likes to get on to the ball. And because Gallagher is not a player who likes to progress the ball forward, will either pass it back or sideways, this forced Enzo Fernandez to be the one to drop deep, to actually look to receive the ball and try to carry the ball forward. But this now was a problem because Enzo Fernandez dropping deep leaves this position in the left half space empty, compared to down the right where Palmer was occupying. Now, when Palmer occupies this position, it makes Chelsea to actually now attack down the right, because down the right is where they have the desired overload to try and beat the opposition lines of pressure. And Chelsea would circle into a horseshoe position, looking to try and have the combination of Gusto, Noni Madueke, and Cole Palmer. And this ensured that Chelsea were very potent and very dangerous down the right. But the question is, how did opponents adapt to this? Opponents adapted to this against Chelsea by shifting their entire team down the right, because they knew that Chelsea's reliance on the right-hand side, and because nobody was actually playing down the left, they would allow the fullback and the winger to double up against the opposition Chelsea's left winger. And in such situations, Gallagher, who was supposed to occupy that position so that he can force the fullback to play quite narrow and allow the quick shift of play, was not actually occupying that position. I hope you can be able to understand. He was not occupying that position. So whenever the shift of play was supposed to be coming, it should have found Raheem Sterling or Mykhailo Mudryk in acres of space and in positions where they are able to dribble and attempt to score goals. But that was not the case for Chelsea last season. And you've also seen from the stats that Chelsea were not quite potent. Rather, Conor Gallagher would also shift towards the right to try and create that overload. And when Mudryk was playing down that position, Mudryk is not a great 1v1 dribbler, and majority of the times he would lose the ball to the centre back. This created even more problems for Chelsea, because now Chelsea's left-hand flank was really porous, and Chelsea experienced a lot of counter-attacks from this position. You can see the position. This happened against Liverpool at Anfield. You saw how Bradley and Diego Jota were able to destroy Chelsea, because when Chelsea lost the ball down the left, their left side was really open. And this created tactical problems defensively and attacking-wise for Chelsea. Now, Cucurella in this position is not a great overlapping fullback. And when Chilwell was there, Chilwell also was on and off, being injured majority of the times. And even when he tried to overlap in this position, he had a problem, because his only way was to try and cross an outswinger. But having an outswinger with a striker who's not good in the air, like Jackson, this made that the opposition always won the aerial duels, and now Chelsea were even in much difficult situations. And that's why in the latter parts of the season, we started to see Pochettino inverting Cucurella. Now, how does Dewsbury Hall come into this system? That's the question. How does Dewsbury Hall? Because Dewsbury Hall comes and gives Chelsea something that Chelsea did not have in the attacking area. And I have to explain this to you, because a lot of people think that this is not a signing that is needed. Now, Dewsbury Hall comes in because he understands that left half space position. So he's coming in to occupy that position. He's coming in to nail down that position. He's going to do what Cole Palmer does down the right, but down the left. He's going to create that magnet that attracts the fullbacks, the centre backs, and the holding midfielders, allowing dangerous wingers such as Raheem Sterling to thrive. Having Raheem Sterling and Noni Madueke down the right, the wide areas, and having two creative players in that midfield region gives Chelsea's balance. Chelsea will be able to attack down the left, the center, and the right, giving Chelsea that numerical balance of attack that Manchester City has. Chelsea will also have numerical advantage to dominate the game, not only in their midfield third, but rather in the final third, because they will have players in staggered positions, players who understand Maresca's system. And Dewsbury Hall will be able to either overlap, underlap, and have a shot on goal, or underlap and actually create those low crosses that Maresca wants and those cutbacks that Enzo Maresca wants. Dewsbury Hall gives Chelsea structure in that attacking lineup. He gives them the ability and the dynamism to be able to occupy these positions and have the opposition's banks of four either close to each other, allowing Chelsea's wide players to have enough time, enough space to flourish and create problems for the opposition. This will also give the two players that Chelsea will have as pivots the opportunity to have the ball and have the opportunity to circulate the ball, something that Rodri has had at Manchester City, because now the pressure is withdrawn from them, and players such as Fernandes and players such as Caicedo are able to use their passing accuracy, their vision to be able to pick runners who are making runs beyond. And even when Chelsea are looking to create overloads down the right, Dewsbury Hall's position in between the fullback and the centre back will make the fullback to play quite narrow, allowing Chelsea to have those quick shifts of play and actually get the players such as Raheem Sterling in 1v1 situations where you get the best of Raheem Sterling. And this is why Dewsbury Hall is very important for Chelsea. Now, you need to understand that Dewsbury Hall is a very excellent passer. He knows how to measure his passes. Dewsbury Hall is a player who's very intelligent. He knows how to occupy these positions. He knows to play those 1-2. And you know one thing about Dewsbury Hall is that he likes to play those passes in those half-space channels. So this is giving Chelsea something that Palmer used to give them, but now he's giving them at Chelsea down the left. Look at those positions. Look at those passes. Look at players such as Raheem Sterling making those runs. Look at players such as Mykhailo Mudryk making those runs. Having a player who's able to play a splitting pass in that kind of position. This is only going to make Chelsea's left-hand side potent, allowing players such as Mudryk, who like to make those runs beyond the opposition defense line, to have the opportunity to play that position. He's also going to create those in-swingers from that half-space position, enabling players such as Noni Madueke to be attacking the far post area with a lot of potency and giving Chelsea much structure and much more depth in attack. Signing of Lewis Hall is an admission by the Chelsea board that they actually want to play the structured positional play system that Enzo Maresca implemented effectively at Leicester. The question is, will Lewis Hall fit this system at Chelsea? If you have enjoyed this video, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.